Hi, welcome to my channel, Renew Your Skill. It's a free education channel. You're here, you must be looking at what are the career options that are available in the networking field. I'm going to be covering what are the roles that are possible, what are the job opportunities, what one can actually do in order to take up these roles. I've actually taken the list from ChatGPT. If you today go and search IT networking career options in ChatGPT, it throws up about 20. So I've taken those and let's see if we can decode the 20 and see what are valid. I've been in the field of IT infrastructure networking for about 25 years. I've hired people, I've created new roles for based on the business and the project needs. Based on that experience, I'm going to help with the information that could probably help you make some decision on which path to take. Let's begin with the network administrator. Network administrator is it's definitely one of the most popular roles that companies hire. It's the small organization or even a mid-level organization or a large organization, all of them have network administrators. So here, what you actually do at a basic level, managing the local area network, a wide area network, managing the intranet, that is a corporate network, internet. Sometime even in smaller organization, you probably will have to take care of even the firewalls, okay, and whatever the security equipments and stuff. Now, next is network engineer. Network engineer is again very similar. In network engineer, this specifically it may focus on to the implementation side of the networking devices, which may include configuring switches, routers. So both roles, some companies call it network engineer, some call it network administrator. So it really depends on the organization, but both are something that you actually begin. If you have done your CCNA, and that's the role that you can probably expect. Okay, so network engineers, there are different levels of network engineers. Okay, so that's again a starting role that you can add. Network architect. Network architect is a senior role. It typically takes about 5 to 6 years or sometime 10 years. I mean, I have worked as a network architect for quite some time. Okay. So in order to get that role, I probably took about 5 to 6 years to get to that network architect role. And here the focus is mainly on the design. And you don't, in the network architecture, most organizations may expect the layer 3 sort of a support from a network architect. Okay, so that's one thing. It's not necessarily fully hands-on, but it's expected that a network architect comes and plays a role of when there are critical tickets and there are critical escalations, network architect can probably play a role there. Next, network security engineer. Again, here, if you've done your firewall certifications like Cisco Firewall or FortiGate or Palo Alto, any of the Checkpoint, any of the well-known firewall certifications, that's where you probably will be called as a net. So there are a lot of organizations who these days take network security engineers who mainly focusing on security components of the network, including IDS and IPS management. It's a very interesting field. So you probably, if you have completed CCNA and then taken up CCNA or any of the other vendor certifications, and also you have got your hands-on the firewall. It could be any brand firewall, right? So this is where you fit in. With that skill set is where you actually fit in. Wireless network engineer, again, here you may have network engineers playing a role of a wireless network engineer. There are not many roles who specifically to begin with. As a beginner, if you're a beginner, wireless network engineer is not something that you may not directly get in. After about 2 or 3 years, if you have specialized and based on your project and skill, you may become a wireless engineer. It could be HP, Aruba, or Cisco, or any of the other skill sets that you may acquire, and that's where the wireless engineer comes in. Okay, I will be covering what certifications that you may need to probably, or if there are certifications that will help take these roles in my next series. Today I'm focusing on specifically decoding ChatGPT list to see if a role like that exists and if are they valid and what you probably need to do. Right, cloud network specialist. Again, here it's not a very common designation, guys. Let's note it down. Cloud networking specialist. Today with AWS, Azure, and a lot of these clouds which are coming in, and organizations are moving into the moving their workloads into the cloud. You may find these roles within the service provider, right? Like AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. You may find such roles. In here again, after about 4-5 years of experience, and then having gotten some exposure into the cloud, which you definitely will have today, that's where you probably can kick into such a role. VoIP engineer is again very specifically focusing on IP telephony. This could be Cisco, Aruba, Huawei, or any of the telephony network that you may have. And this is something which is also called as collaboration. Okay, your voice and video are sort of in the same field. Okay, and if you're from a telecom background and have got that exposure for the telecom, if you've then this is something which probably will actually go hand in hand. Okay, that's one. Then data center engineer again is an extension of your enterprise network. So you've done your CCNA and you've done probably that's where you decide, okay, I've got some exposure in data center and I want to be in this data center. So there are, if you take Cisco, there are CCNP data center tracks that are available. There's a CCNP collaboration track. Okay, so that's for the VoIP. So you can do CCNP collaboration. If you want to do a data center, you can do CCNP data center. And then all of these tracks, if you are on a Cisco track, why I'm talking about Cisco is one of the popular product line. But otherwise, it really today there are a lot of other products are also in the market, a lot of other solutions. But this probably will give you a good start. Okay, because there's a defined certification track as far as Cisco track is concerned. Okay, and others also, but Cisco is more defined and more common to probably find. And there are a lot of trainings that are available on the Cisco CCNA, CCNP track, and there are a lot of resources that are available. Okay, so that that's something probably will be a good beginning. The data center. Next, network analyst. So network analyst performs where you may find this in the network operations centers. Okay, you call them as NOC engineers or network analyst, where you are actually into the monitoring side of the story. Okay, so where if there are if the link has gone down or device has gone down, there will be a team of people sitting in the network operations center, monitoring these things and then troubleshooting using some tools and configurations. Network consultant, yeah, valid. This is again a senior role. Network architect, network consultant are sort of are used intermittently. Okay, so where you may find a network consultant role after about 7-8 years of experience. Okay, so some call it network architect. Network consultant are more from a pre-sales perspective. Okay, when you take a networking path, you have got pre-sales, you've got sales, and then the post-sales. Okay, so post-sales are where after the products are sold, where you will be part of the project and you'll be deploying it and everything. Monitoring is normally day 2. For example, NOC engineer, as I said, is from the monitoring side. Network consultant, a lot of product companies hire network consultants. It's a very, very good role to actually hold on to. And if you have to get there, you need to have good amount of solution knowledge, design knowledge, and also the product knowledge. Then network support specialist. Again, here some call it network support specialist. It could be network engineer calling it as network support specialist, or a network analyst. Even in the NOC, they call it as network support specialist. So it's not too much of a difference between these roles. Okay, some of the things which are really, really different, highlights is what I'm trying to say, and then some of them which are very close to each other is also something that I'm highlighting. Software defined SDN. Today you find a lot of software defined SD-WAN, SDN. It's very rare that somebody be hired as a SD-WAN engineer or a SDN engineer. Normally you may find either you are hired as a network architect or you are hired as a senior network engineer, okay, who is expected to have SDN or a SD-WAN skill. Okay, this is not a role in itself. Okay, that's where I thought I'll cover this series so that you don't assume that the ChatGPT list is something which is a well-defined role in the industry. Then NOC engineer, as I said, network analyst, NOC engineer are very similar. So this is again operational role. Okay, after you're sitting in a network operations center or a security operations center is again a SOC engineer. Okay, so you're managing, you get the tickets, and again here it could be different shifts that company to operate in. You may be in the morning shift, or depending on whether it is in the US time zone or European time zone. It could be anything. So NOC engineers are expected to sort of move in shifts and work in shifts. Okay, so that's something that you need to take a note of. Telecom engineer, yeah, I mean, it's not something that you may find as a normal designation within the networking field. It's more actually into the telecom itself. Network automation engineer. No, you really don't find specific roles called as network automation engineer. You may be a network engineer or a network consultant or network architect with automation skill sets today. Okay, tools that are used for automation, improvisation of network. So people don't really specifically hire only for that. Cybersecurity specialist or a network security specialist is something which a role does exist. When you're getting into the security, the designation may be security engineer, senior security engineer, cyber security specialist, then cyber security engineer. There are different cyber security consultant, different roles that you may find within the cyber security. IoT network engineer, again, this is again like your SDN, automation, all of that. IoT specifically, you may not find a role as an IoT engineer, guys. So it again, today, when you are working as a network engineer or network administrator or network architect, IoT is very much part of the overall network. It could be a cameras. It could be anything that's moving on an IP is very much part of this one. So you don't really, people specifically don't hire as an IoT engineer. I mean, I haven't seen too common. Service provider network engineer, no. Within the service provider, you get hired with core skills of routing protocols. For example, any large service provider or small service provider hires, they again call them as network engineers, okay, or network architects, WAN engineer. These are something that you normally find. You may not find a service provider network engineer again. So that's again, the reason that I'm conducting this session is to actually highlight not every designation or a role that you may find are fully valid or that they're not called so. Okay, network trainer and instructor, very much somebody who's got a passion. I mean, I have a passion for training, so I train people on a lot of technologies. So network trainer or an instructor is very much a role which people with passion, people who actually wants to share their knowledge. This is a very good opportunity as a network trainer or a network engineer with a lot of authorized partners that are there for many of the vendors. They do hire today offline, online trainers, for many companies. That's again one of the good options. Then the project manager. Typically, project manager in itself is a separate field altogether. You need to be, doing project management, and then your skill sets, it's more towards networking. Then you could be a project manager handling networking projects. Okay, so that's how it is. And I'm going to be covering more on what certifications and how one can actually take up some of these. I'll probably simplify this list to be, most valid roles, and then I'll specify what certifications and what vendor skill sets that you can probably obtain in order to take up those roles. So next series, wait for it. You may find that these 20 roles that I know are probably, we will shortlist them and into 8 to 9 valid roles, and specifically say what you need to do in order to get to those roles. Either you are fresher or you're already in the industry with 4 or 5 years of experience. How do you actually gear up to a given role? Okay, thanks for watching.